over a decade of being clean. After I met Paul and he did my exorcism, he was able to get the EVPs of the entity that was attacking me. And in the EVP, you know, he was trying to call it out, and it ended up being where I was trying to do my art in order to keep myself alive. So I was trying to focus on just beautifying something and doing my art just to keep my creative mind going in order to keep myself alive. And at the same time, it was doing what it could to wipe me out. At one point, I started investigating bugs, invisible bugs, and I came up with thrips. Thrips are tiny little bugs I never even knew about, and I'll never forget that, thrips. And so I called in the bug guy. And the bug guy shows up, and I show him my back, and he looks at me and he says, "Lady, those are not bug bites. I don't know what that is. You need to get some type of help."
Wow.
And at that point, he came into the house and he sprayed. And as soon as he walked out, I went in and I sat there in the bug spray. I couldn't take it anymore. I was at my wit's end, and that's when I finally reached out to Paul. Paul and his wife and Staci was her name? Or,
Tammy.
Yeah. Showed up. And
Tammy Strayling. Yeah.
I'm sorry?
Tammy Strayling.
Yes, they showed up and went through and did their investigations and whatnot, and were able to see. And when they showed up, like, I had no soul in my eyes. There was nothing going on back here. It was just this body, but nothing going on behind it. And after working with them and talking with them and explaining to them everything and showing them around, and they were able to do their investigations, Paul wasn't able to get anything for a while. It was like it wanted to hide, and it wanted to hide well. And where it was hiding, it was exactly where I was always sitting and trying to get away from it. We ended up doing the exorcism in the bathtub, and after that, that's when the light turned back on. After that, I was able to see Archangel Michael. I was able to bring him in. And like I said, I'm not a religious person whatsoever. I use all entities. I'm not one for like being Christian or Catholic or this or that, but I take what resonates and discard the rest. So to answer your question, since I was a little girl.
Right. And peace. Was it, okay, I've been on like 2,500 investigations, so I get them all mixed up. On the investigation with you, was that the situation where you're practically climbing up the bathroom wall? Was that you?
No.
Or was that somebody else?
No, I did have to go through the bathroom window because the entity was able to lock me out from the inside out.
Oh.
I had left, because I ended up giving away my car keys for about 1.5 years. I had to lock myself away. I was genuinely petrified of this place, but I couldn't leave it because I was a prisoner of the home. And I did finally have to go out and go grab a couple of little things from the store because I needed something, just food and, necessities and stuff. And when I came back, I was completely locked out with the chain lock from the inside out. So I did have to climb. And mind you, at that point in time, the little bathroom windows, the little rectangular ones, right. I was so tiny, I fit into it without touching any side.
Oh, wow. And also, too, I remember when we first went to your place, everything seemed normal. Then all of a sudden, things shifted, and I could see some type of demonic entity inside you. It was mind-blowing. The things that I saw. And also, too, the picture, the scratches, that was given to one of my paranormal investigators who happened to be a warden for the California Department of Fish and Wildlife. And he actually showed it to a homicide detective, and the homicide detective said, okay, if she was killed, let's say, for an example, he said there was no way she could have inflicted those claw marks on her back. Somebody else had to do it.
I also had a dream during that time. So while the scratches were coming on, there was a dream that I had. Well, you wouldn't call it a dream, it would be a nightmare. Where I mattress in my dream, and I remember there was a knife that was coming through the mattress, and I remember feeling it in my rib cage on the right-hand side, and I remember like turning to get off of the knife, and in the morning, and I had this scar for the longest time. I still have pictures of it in my Pandora's box phone, which I still have of all the pictures, everything we're talking about, all the evidence is in that phone. I just have never opened it since then. And the next morning when I woke up, I had, from the dream, I had a knife mark on my back, and I had blood that was dried that had dripped from it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's like, you know, when you go through these experiences, you know, like, they're so unexplainable that you lose your mind. And when you do that, again, you're still an open conduit to all these other spirits because you have lowered that threshold and anything can attach itself to you. So that just happened to be like where I was, you know, not everybody goes through the awakening like I had to go through, but it was for a higher purpose. Like I had to go, I genuinely went through a death and rebirth process. And I mean, I went through, you know, being in the service and restaurant industry, bartending, you know, for over 20 years. That was my career. And the universe definitely had a different, like, destiny and journey and dharma, you know, whatever you want to call it for me. And that's what put me on the road now to where I am. Because I didn't believe in any of this shit beforehand. If you would have tried to talk to me about it, I would have, okay, and taken another shot on your, you know, like, okay, whatever. Until you go through the experience. And the experience is so, you can smash up every scary movie that there is, and there is nothing comparable to going through the experience I went through. Like, at this point, I'm at the level of, I mean, other than snakes in Florida, which I don't like, and that's why I live in Hawaii, is because there's no snakes unless they come in on a Christmas tree or something. Because of the serpent from when I was a child, that kind of clears that up for you as to why I'm petrified of snakes. I'm at a level of unfuckable at this point. Like, nothing scares me. Like, none of what's going on in the world, not any of this. I just don't get caught up in it. I go off and do my own thing, and I just warn other people now.
Wow, that is shocking. I mean, all the things that you went through. Oh, it gives me shivers right down my spine. Before we move on, Phil, Staci, Paranormal Soul Brother, you got anything you want to ask her about her experience?
You're on mute.
You're on mute.
No, I was going to say, go ahead, Brother Phil.
I was just wondering if, I mean, you kind of explained it very well, but thank you for sharing it. But yeah, you said it, and you said it was unexplainable. These kind of things are unexplainable. Do you have any idea at all, or even point as to, you know, was there a place you could have picked this up? Was there a moment? Was there one traumatic experience where do you think something attached to you? You know, was it the drugs? Was it the culmination of everything, or do you think it was just one? You know, because I've lived in houses that seemed creepy. I've had traumatic experiences that were overwhelming. Do you think it was just everything that just made you so susceptible that, you know, you were wide open for this kind of thing?
It was the culmination. So during that awakening, so after I met Paul, and how I got into psychic astrology, tarot cards, you know, that kind of stuff. It wasn't just because, like, oh my God, like, that's so great. Well, obviously, it was the trauma that took me to where I am today. And so, next thing you know, I remember sitting on my floor, and I had just, like, smashed my pipe, right? I was done. Like, this is it. I can't do this anymore. I'm going to die. Like, this stuff is happening, and I'm susceptible to it all because I'm bringing this in from my own pain. And they feed off of that pain and trauma, and they want to keep you in a dark place. They want you to succumb. And so I started getting emails from astrologers. I'd never looked up astrology. I mean, once in a while I read my, you know, horoscope. but I'm a Virgo, like that doesn't resonate, but this one does. So I started getting emails about astrology, hey, from spirit, and then next thing you know, had psychics popping up in my newsfeed on Facebook and on Instagram, and so I started going down these rabbit holes of like, oh my God, this resonates. Oh, they're talking about me, and then I'm like, wait a minute, sun, moon, and rising. I know my sun sign's Virgo, but what's my moon and rising? Oh shoot, we have a natal chart. Oh my God, what does this mean? Oh shit, I have a lot of stuff in my 12th house. What is the 12th house? And come to find out, I had a lot of what we call either benefic planets or malefic planets in your 12th house. Well, your 12th house is your house of self-undoing. 12th house is usually a Pisces house, right? Everybody's is going to be different depending on your own natal chart. When I started going into the astrology and going down that rabbit hole, I realized I had Black Moon Lilith, I had Neptune, which is the dissolver of boundaries, I had Chiron, which is the wounded healer, I had the South Node, which is these eclipses, which is opening you up to a whole nother level. In the 12th house of Pisces, which rules, get this, illusions, delusions, fantasies, mental institutions, sorrow, depression, sex, drugs, alcohol, codependent relationships, prison, mental health prisons. You can actually go to jail in the 12th house. So the only way out of the 12th house is through. And what is through? Through the art of spirituality, through the art of your beliefs, whether that's religion or spiritual or whatever it is that you see as a higher self. So the 12th house is the house of self-undoing. So in order for me to get to where I am today, I had to go through the house of self-undoing. Well, at the same time, I started following this astrologer. It's the KRS channel, and I'll shout out to him because if it wasn't for him putting out this video, which has to do with Rahu and Ketu, which is the north and south node of the moon, he put out a video on it, and it was literally my story of the demonics and bringing you into the woods in a very dark place. And he actually did a video on it, and one of the things he said is that one of the hardest things about this transit is getting through alive. But it will open you up, and most people who end up going through these transits end up coming out as psychics or healers, or they're able to mediums or whatever, all of the above. They end up somehow, some way, because Pisces is the healers, the shaman, and so